all for coming and welcome to this facility. A lot of the programs we have here, really we're trying to get our young people from point A to point B by showing them. So a lot of the experiences that young people, including myself, had growing up was let's get people in a classroom, let's teach them science, let's teach them math, let's make them memorize A, B, and C. And a lot of times it doesn't always work, right? What we need to do is start giving people experiences, showing people what it means to be a doctor, what it means to be an engineer, what it means to be a nurse, by actually showing them that pathway. So our young people, we pair them up with young professionals that are actually in those industries. We have them go out and do job shadowings with them. We have them tutor them, we have them mentor them, and help them kind of create this pathway of success.
Act 185 is the legislative act that pushed for the closure of Lincoln Hills and is really stressing that the counties have a role in terms of caring for young people who are system involved. The state also, through the Department of Corrections, is looking at constructing a facility for serious juvenile offenders, those convicted of felony offenses, and the counties would have responsibility for lower level offenses and for predominantly younger youth who are involved with the system, ages 10 to 17 years old.
So within Act 185, as David mentioned, it's the law that passed last March that outlined the path for closing Lincoln Hills and Copper Lake School. In place of those two facilities, the law will require the state to open some new, what are called Type 1 facilities, correctional facilities, secure correctional facilities, regionally. So there will be smaller regional state facilities. One will be located in or near Milwaukee. It'll be probably 35 to 40 beds. And there will be potentially one or two others around the state. And those facilities will be for youth that either have been waived into adult court but are inappropriate to place in the adult system because of their age, or youth that are in what's called the Serious Juvenile Offender Program.
Obviously, we have a new governor. Is that correct? All right. So we have a whole new administration, a new Secretary of the Department of Corrections, new Secretary of the Division of Children, Department of Children and Families, and there has been some changes that have taken place that impact the timeline for this statewide. Now, our course of action remains the same. The delays have ranged anywhere from 3 months, 6 months, now they're talking 9 months as of last week, which was what came from the state, talking about the efforts to try and make sure that they're getting this right. And what we found that was most encouraging is that really Milwaukee is ahead of the curve in this conversation. And we should be. These are our youth. It is the circumstances that have created a lot of the poverty and violence and neglect in our city that has caused some of our young people to fall through the cracks. And it is the responsibility of all of us to really make sure that we have opportunity for them to have a second chance and lead productive lives. And so we are committed to that, regardless of whether the timeline is delayed or not, but we stand ready to really put forward our plan at the state and receive that support, if it is accepted.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
You keep saying you bring them back close to home. Where was these crimes committed that they did? Was they close to home?
They were in Milwaukee.
No. So, and it still seems like when you bring them back into the community, okay, then things are supposed to work out much better for them. I guess what I'm trying to say, they committed the crimes close to home. So you want to rehabilitate them back in the same community where the crime was committed, close to home.
Well, if I'm hearing your question correctly, we don't necessarily know where their offense was committed. We know that it was within the jurisdiction of Milwaukee County, but we do know that what's important for their rehabilitation is for their families to be involved in the therapy, for there to be a series of aftercare plans that include community-based programming and partners. There has to be some level of pro-social connection to the environments that they will return to, whether they are 4 hours away or in a facility within the city, because ultimately this is where the youth are from.
My question is, I really would like to know why now, from a time standpoint, the timeline. If we just go back to, let's say, 1995, extended jurisdiction. I'll just say this. I'm kind of limited to what I can say because a couple of roles that I am. The Lincoln Hills, Ethan Allen piece, I can talk about that. I can talk about it all. From being on the receiving end, let's just say that. So I want to know, I would like to know why did all the damage have to occur? It's still occurring now for us to get to this point.
I think that's a critical question. I think it's one that many of us have been asking for a long time. Why it takes tragedy and abuse for people to have to slam the brakes on something. I know that there was discussions about this in 2005, and there were a lot of conversations with regards to Wales, Ethan Allen, and the role that facility played in closing that one and then leaving one open that's 4 hours away from the majority of youth who were populated. But what I do know is that this is a moment we have really a confluence of it's an opportunity for us to try and do something right at possibly the worst type of situation, but because the attention is on the state, because we know what the mass incarceration rates are for the state, but because we know what has been taking place and the eyes of the country are on Wisconsin, we have a chance to do something right.
It's to the 56 young people.
Okay.
What are those 56 young people that's in Lincoln Hills now? What are their effects?
They have committed.
Are they jail?
No.
No? Okay.
No. But they've committed felonies, mostly. Some have committed Class A misdemeanors, which is the next level down from a felony. I would personally like to see us eliminate the possibility of misdemeanors being eligible for placement and corrections. We'll be working with our legislators about that, David. Yes, they would be young people that committed still serious offenses.
It's real important for us to understand how we got here and what we need to do in order to get out. And when there were discussions about how to bring these facilities back to the community, there was an understanding that there were going to be a lot of places that did not want these types of facilities in their community, right? And one of the things that I shared with the group is that one of the things that you'll find about our constituents is that they're open-minded, but you're going to have to be fair with them, right? And so that's what we want. We're willing in this area to take on the responsibility of the role that we must play in order to correct the wrongs in our community. But one of the things that we will not do is to carry more than our share of the burden of what it's supposed to take in order to make this change.